Revealed, how a touching wedding moment turned into an incredible transformation for one woman. Sarah awoke that morning with her heart pounding in her chest. She could almost hear the whisper of the wildflowers dancing in the breeze, rich colors peeking through the windows like hope itself. Today was Emily's wedding day, a day filled with charm and the buzz of excitement that reminded Sarah of the laughter they once shared. But as she glanced in the mirror, she saw a ghost of herself staring back, a tangible reminder of the life she felt slipping away. At the diner, the sun bathed South Main Street in a warm glow. Sarah poured fresh coffee, the steam curling like dream fragments. The regulars' familiar faces etched with stories filled the seats, their laughter like a balm for her spirit. As she served pancakes and shared smiles, she couldn't shake the shadows crowding her heart. Today would sharpen the divide between her and Emily, the perfect bride in a perfect life, illuminating everything Sarah felt she lacked. With each moment that dragged her closer to the wedding, unsaid emotions festered. When their father, a Vietnam vet whose absence shattered their childhood, stood to speak beneath the wildflower canopy, the air turned electric. His voice trembled as he spoke of healing and forgiveness. In that raw moment, the crowd fell silent, and Sarah felt a crack in her soul begin to mend. Would her heart let her embrace the very ache that made her feel human? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but just as she began to reconcile feelings, disaster struck. Back at the diner, news of a financial crisis shattered her small universe. Bills piled higher than the coffee cups she served, and uncertainty clawed at her heart. The diner wasn't just a job, it was a lifeline. Suddenly, her dreams of supporting Emily's wedding faded, consumed by fear and doubt. How much should she sacrifice for family, and was it worth losing herself in return? Determined, Sarah dove into the wedding preparations, tentatively reconnecting with Emily in a flurry of floral arrangements and laughter, echoing the sisterly bond they once shared. Each pressed petal rebuilt a bridge, the distance between them receding. But with each burst of joy, anxiety wrapped tighter around her. She needed to break through the weight of their family scars. On the day of the wedding, with brewing hope and fraught nerves, she faced her father. Would his moment of vulnerability unleash the ties that had long anchored her? As the celebration loomed, Sarah's bravery hung in the air like charged electricity. Small miracles began to flicker as the community rallied around the diner, a bake sale sparking kindness from every corner. With each show of support, hope raced through her veins. Every smile cut through the chaos, each soft word from a neighbor warmed her heart. Questions lingered as the wedding day neared. Could she find closure? Could she embrace the power of forgiveness amidst the unpredictability of life? Sarah stood beneath the wildflower canopy, the world swirling around her, as tears filled her eyes. Would this moment be one of healing, or would it fracture her family further? The weight of uncertainty clung to her as the wedding day approached, leaving only one question echoing in her heart: could she reclaim her narrative, or would the shadows of her family's past forever dim her dreams? As guests began to fill the wooden benches, Sarah took a deep breath, letting the scent of wildflowers and fresh-cut grass wash over her. The beauty of that moment was undeniable. Emily looked radiant, her happiness shining like the sun on a perfect summer day. But with each laugh that echoed through the air, each joyful cheer, a part of Sarah's heart sank deeper into uncertainty. Her mind buzzed with thoughts of what lay ahead. She longed to approach her father, the man whose presence felt like a weight pressing on her chest. All those years of hurt and neglect still laced their relationship, and today was not just about Emily, it was about them too. As the ceremony began, Sarah shifted in her seat. Each heartfelt word from the officiant stirred emotions she had buried for too long. Love and commitment radiated from the couple, wrapping around Sarah like a warm embrace. For a moment, She felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Could she reach for that same love, find a way to mend her own broken ties? Suddenly, one of their childhood songs played softly from a hidden speaker, and a wave of nostalgia washed over her. She remembered the nights spent singing together, the shared secrets, and the unshakable bond they had once had. Tears spilled as she lost herself in memories, every note a reminder of the sister she desperately missed. When Emily and her fiancé exchanged vows, their voices trembling with emotion, Sarah felt her heart crack open a little wider. There was so much beauty in their promise to one another. Could she learn to promise something to herself too? For so long, she'd sacrificed her own hopes for the sake of others. As the couple sealed their vows with a kiss, cheers erupted, enveloping Sarah in a tide of love and belonging. But just as she began to embrace that warmth, her father's gaze caught hers from across the patio. His eyes, filled with something remnants of pain and longing, pierced her heart. Did he feel it too, the weight of all that had been left unsaid? Taking a steadying breath, Sarah stood. She didn't know what she would say. Each step toward him felt monumental, laden with the weight of their history. The laughter and celebration faded into a distant hum, the world narrowed to just the two of them. "Dad," she began, words trembling on her lips, but before she could finish, he stepped closer, his hands outstretched. "I'm so proud of you, Sarah." The simplicity and sincerity of those words were enough to bring tears to her eyes again. It was as if a dam had broken within her, emotions flooding to the surface. "You don't know how much I've needed to hear that," she whispered, feeling a crack in the armor around her heart. As their embrace softened the edges of years lost, she felt a stirring within, an invitation to heal. Perhaps it wasn't just Emily's wedding that could mark a new beginning. Maybe she could reclaim herself, find the strength to forgive, and rewrite her own story. But just as she thought they were embracing clarity, another figure caught her eye. The diner's regulars, all gathered, watching with anxious smiles, holding a banner that read, "We love you, Sarah." The unexpected support rattled her heart. Could love truly transform her life? Standing there, heart racing, she realized this was only the beginning. As a rush of possibilities unfolded around her, one question echoed louder than the rest: would she allow this moment to reshape her narrative, or would she let fear snuff out the light before it could shine? Sarah's breath hitched in her throat as the banner swayed gently in the breeze. The faces of the diner's regulars glistened with warmth and encouragement. It felt surreal, almost overwhelming. Her heart, still racing with the emotions of her father's words, now swelled at the unexpected show of love from her community. She cast a quick glance at Emily, who was embracing her new husband, her face radiant with joy. Sarah should have felt joyful at her sister's happiness, yet her heart was tangled in a web of uncertainty. Could she really let herself believe that love could extend to her, too? While Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly would shatter the fragile peace she felt inside. Her eyes scanned the faces, people she'd known all her life, who often sat together over coffee, laughter echoing inside that small diner like a comforting melody. "Sarah!" One of the familiar faces called out, an older woman with kind eyes. "You're incredible. We all see it." The warmth in her voice unfurled something deep within Sarah. Could this be real? Before she could think any more, her dad stepped back, his face full of pride, but just as unsure as she felt. "You've always been a shining light, Sarah. You can't hide from that. Today is your day too," he said, his voice steady but laced with emotion. She felt the floodgate inside her open wider. Hiding hadn't worked for years, it only brought solitude. "I guess I've been afraid," she breathed out. "Afraid to step out of the shadows." "You don't have to be," he replied gently, his hands now resting just over her shoulders. "The past may have shaped you, but it doesn't have to define your future." In that moment, her throat tightened with both fear and exhilaration. She longed to break free from the chains of her past. Could she step forward? A dance at her sister's wedding felt like a leap into the unknown, a chance to embrace not only her family's love but her own truth. "Let us take a step into the light together," her dad suggested, glancing back at the smiling crowd. Dance with me first. The doubt bubbled again, threatening to suffocate her resolve. But the buoyancy of love hung in the air, lifting her spirit. She nodded slowly and squeezed her dad's hand. Finding courage was never a solo journey. As they moved toward the dance floor, Sarah's heart sang with every step. The heat of the day wrapped around her, a reminder of everything that was yet to come. The moment they stepped on that wooden floor and joined the other couple swaying to the music, she felt the past drifting away. The laughter and smiles from their friends and family washed over her like a soothing balm. She spun on the floor, feeling the rhythm pulse through her veins. Each turn brought a fresh burst of freedom, a reminder that she was worthy of joy. It wasn't just about today's celebration anymore, it was about the promise of tomorrow, of filling her life with moments that lit her soul. She smiled, blinking back grateful tears, realizing how far she had come in such a short time. As the song continued and heads bobbed in time, her gaze met Emily's from across the crowd. Emily was watching her with a knowing smile, as if to say, "It's your turn." The music faded to a soft hum in her ears. In that sweet moment of clarity, Sarah felt the weight of fear begin to dissipate, replaced by an unfamiliar yet thrilling sensation, hope. But just then, a shadow eclipsed the sunlight streaming onto the dance floor. It was a figure from her past, one she never expected to see here. Sarah's heart nearly stopped. She squinted against the sun, trying to make sense of the shadow that now loomed just beyond the dance floor. There, in a crisp blue shirt that felt oddly too familiar, stood Daniel, the one person who made her heart race and tremble with uncertainty. Memories swirled around her like leaves in the wind, moments of laughter, deep conversations, but also the sting of betrayal and hurt. Seeing him here, at Emily's wedding, felt like a jolt in her chest. Why now? Was it possible he even knew the turmoil he had left behind? The melody continued to play, but it faded further into the background, lost beneath the rising tide of emotion inside her. Her father's comforting presence felt miles away as she struggled to breathe. Her eyes darted around, seeking solace in the faces of friends and family, but Daniel's presence seemed to cast a heavy shadow, pulling the warmth out of the room. "Sarah?" Her dad's concerned voice pulled her back. She looked up, and he followed her gaze. "Do you want to sit down? We can take a break." "No," she replied, her voice firm yet trembling. She needed to confront this, whatever it was. "I need to speak to him." Usually, confidence came easily to Sarah, the real, authentic Sarah who was a shining light at this wedding. But right now, it was as if that light flickered, threatened by the ghost of her past. Yet beneath the fear was something else, a spark of defiance. She stepped off the dance floor, determination replacing her uncertainty. People turned to watch her, whispers floating in the air like confetti. She felt their gazes heavy, but she pressed on. She had come too far to allow this moment to pull her back into shadows. Daniel saw her approaching. His expression changed from surprise to a mask of regret, and for a second, the world around them dissolved into a blur. "Sarah," he started, his voice a mix of longing and apprehension. "Daniel," she matched his tone, trying to sound steady. "What are you doing here?" Her heart raced, not with anger but with a simmering mixture of emotions she hadn't yet sorted out. "I came to support Emily and celebrate," he said, shrugging lightly. "I didn't know you'd be here." "That's hard to believe," she shot back, anger flickering to life. "Please, just listen, it's not what you think," he began, his eyes searching hers, desperate and vulnerable. "Then what is it?" She pressed, emotions vying for dominance. "You think showing up here makes it all okay? You left everything in ruins." "Sarah, I was wrong," he said, stepping closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "And I've never stopped thinking about you." She shook her head, feeling the weight of his words. "You don't get to say that. You had your chance, and you threw it away." But as she stood there, her heart pounding, she remembered the kindness of the community and her dad's gentle push into the light. She was not that scared girl anymore. Maybe, Just maybe, she could stand here for herself, not just as a reflection of him. "There's more to this than you realize," he insisted, desperation in his eyes. "I came here hoping hope." She interrupted, feeling the swell of strength behind her words. "Hope isn't enough. You don't get to disrupt my day just because you're feeling regretful." His shoulders sagged, and for a moment, they were both caught in an invisible struggle. But Sarah wasn't wavering. She felt her determination solidify. Today was about her sister, her family, and her journey. "I need you to leave," she said softly but firmly, the clarity of her voice cutting through the air. "I'm done being a chapter in your story." As she stepped away, Daniel remained there, rooted in shock and regret. But she refused to look back. Confidence surged through her veins, a victory that felt like the first rays of dawn breaking through a long night. When she returned to the dance floor, she glanced at her dad, who beamed with pride and understanding. The crowd buzzed with energy, but for Sarah, it was the embrace of her own resolve that honored this moment. She glanced up, feeling the warmth of the sun kiss her cheeks. Laughter and music drifted around her, mingling with the swell of hope in her heart. She was free. But as she let the music wash over her, she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter with Daniel was just the beginning. The past had started to unravel, but would it leave space for unforeseen paths ahead, or would it loop back to haunt her once more? The dance floor swirled around Sarah as she tried to lose herself in the music, but the echoes of Daniel's words played over and over in her mind. "I've never stopped thinking about you." She shook her head slightly as if willing the phrase away, but it clung to her like a shadow. Emily's laugh broke through her thoughts. Her sister twirled, the tulle of her wedding dress billowing like a cloud. It was a stark contrast to the heaviness in Sarah's heart. Emily's joy was infectious, and for a moment, Sarah felt it too. She joined in, spinning around, letting her feet take her higher, like she could escape the weight of the conversation she just had. "Sarah! You're glowing!" Emily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling like the fairy light strung above them. "Just soaking in the magic," Sarah replied, forcing a smile, but it was hard to ignore the thrum of adrenaline left over from her encounter with Daniel. The music faded as she remembered the look on his face, raw and vulnerable. She pushed it away again. She needed to focus on her sister's happiness, on this celebration of love. As the minute ticked by, she caught glimpses of him across the room. Daniel stood at the edge of the crowd, his hands shoved deep in his pockets, watching her. She felt a shiver ripple down her spine, the dual pangs of frustration and nostalgia churning inside her. Just then, Josh, a childhood friend, approached her, grinning wide. "Are you dancing or daydreaming?" he teased, pulling her back into the moment. "Definitely daydreaming," she joked, relief flooding through her. Josh was a safe harbor amidst turbulent emotions. "Come on, let us show them how it's done," he said, leading her back to the center of the dance floor. As they moved together, she let the rhythm distract her from the thoughts swirling in her mind. With every beat, she felt lighter, more connected to the present, but the question remained, could she truly move on? Just as her laughter rang out, the music shifted. A slow song began to play, drawing couples close. Sarah hesitated, the weight of memories returning like a tide washing ashore. Should she remain here or invite another fragment of her past back in? "Do you want to sit?" Josh asked, noticing her gaze drift. "No," she replied, her voice steadier now. "I'm okay. I just need to think." "Thinking can be good, but how about you grab a drink instead?" He nodded toward the bar, an inviting escape. With a quick smile and a nod, she let Josh lead her through the crowd. The bar was bustling, laughter bubbling over like soda fountains. She ordered a drink but didn't pay attention as her mind drifted back to him. Daniel. Why now? Why here? "I can't believe he showed up," she whispered, half to herself, half to Josh as they navigated the throngs of guests. "Who?" he asked, missing the irony in her tone. "Just, someone from my past," she murmured, allowing herself a moment to feel the full weight of it. Past or present? Josh shot back playfully. You've got to focus on the present, especially today. As she raised her glass to toast with him, the weight of the moment settled over her. She wanted to believe it a new chapter, a fresh start, fighting against the echoes of Daniel still looping in her mind. But as they returned to the dance floor, she felt a shift around her. It was as if the whole room knew her struggle. Gazes flickered, conversations quieted for just a beat, and she could sense the concern and curiosity swirling. Then suddenly, she felt a hand on her back. Turning, she was met with the last person she expected to see. The focus now shifted sharply as Daniel approached, determination etched in his features. "Sarah," he said, voice clear, breaking through the bubble of noise that suddenly felt all too fragile. Her heart raced, uncertainty flooding back in. The crowd fell silent, all eyes pinned on them. Was this yet another moment of confrontation, or was it something else? "Please, just give me a chance to explain," he continued, his sincerity palpable, clashing with her resolve. Caught in the balance of choice, she felt the whole world around her fade into the background. Desire, doubt, and determination swirled together like a dance, playing out right there on the wedding floor. What was she going to do next? Would she give in to the pull of the past, or would she take her next step forward? The silence around them felt electric, charged with the tension of a million unsaid words. Sarah's heart galloped as Daniel's eyes held hers, pleading. She'd always thought of herself as unshakable, but here he was, dismantling her defenses piece by piece. The guests around them had turned from joy to curiosity, each face a mirror reflecting her shock. Her mind raced. What could he possibly say that would change all that had happened? All those years of separation and confusion, was she really ready to open that door again? "Sarah," he said softly, stepping closer, just a breath away. "I know I messed up. I thought about calling, reaching out, but, well, I was scared." She scanned his expression for any sign of uncertainty, but all she found was sincerity. It was the same warmth and affection she'd once cherished, feelings that stirred something deep inside her. The crowd faded further into the background as the moment stretched. "What has changed?" she finally asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "You walked away once. How can I trust that you won't do it again?" Daniel opened his mouth to speak, but the words caught as he searched for the right ones. "I've spent so long thinking about what I lost, and now, standing here, I realize I've never stopped caring about you. This is the first chance I've had to say it. I had to take it." Emily's laughter had receded, the joy hanging in the air now replaced by the heavy weight of unfulfilled love. Sarah felt the ache in her heart twist, battling between the memories she fiercely held and the possibilities that threatened to steal her breath away. Around them, Josh watched, confusion shadowing his face. Do you need a moment?" he asked, anticipating the tension. Daniel shifted slightly, giving Sarah the space she might need. "If you want me to go, I will," he said quietly. "Just know that I'd regret it forever if I didn't at least try." Sarah felt vulnerable, exposed under the weight of the crowd's attention and Daniel's gaze. The walls she'd built were crumbling, and everything came flooding back, the laughter they'd shared, the plans that had once felt so real, the heartache that had followed. But could she forgive him? Could she let go of the past and grasp the future? She hesitated, her breath quickening, the decision weighing heavily in her chest. But just then, her sister gave her a soft smile from the edge of the dance floor, a gesture filled with encouragement. "I can't promise anything," Sarah finally said, her voice raw, "but I want to hear you out. No more running away. Just honesty." For a moment, relief washed over Daniel, his expression softening. "Thank you," he whispered, and for a heartbeat everything felt possible. "I'm over here." Josh's voice broke through, trying to lighten the moment. "Let us not forget we're at a wedding. Happy vibes only." Sarah couldn't help but chuckle, sensing a small bit of comfort returned, but that didn't erase the storm brewing in her heart. "I think I need some air," she said suddenly, glancing toward the nearby balcony. She felt trapped, yet alive with possibility. She needed to gather her thoughts away from the crowd. Her decision had been made, but it wasn't simple. Was there even a clear path forward? Wait, Daniel said, stepping in her direction again, I'll come with you. There was no hesitation in his voice this time, only resolve. As they stepped outside, the cool night air enveloped them, contrasting strongly with the heat of emotions inside. The stars flickered above like little beacons, a reminder that sometimes, even the vastest distances could collapse into something beautiful. As the door closed behind them, Sarah took a deep breath, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. What awaited them in the shadows of the night? Was this the beginning of a new journey or merely a detour back into old wounds? Only time would tell, yet standing there, Sarah felt the flicker of hope ignite once again. The night was alive with the sound of distant laughter and clinking glasses, but it felt miles away from where Sarah stood, gripping the railing of the balcony. She looked out at the expansive sky, a canvas painted with stars, reflecting her inner turmoil. The cool breeze whispered encouragement, yet the weight of the past hung heavily on her shoulders. Daniel's presence beside her shifted something deep within. Even now, the comforting warmth of him nearly overwhelmed her. She glanced sideways. His silhouette was strong against the dim light, a reminder of everything she had loved but also everything that had hurt her. I'm sorry for catching you off guard, he said, his voice low and steady. But I couldn't just watch you from a distance anymore. Daniel, she started, her voice faltering. You don't understand. It's not just about how I feel right now. It's about everything that came before. It's about trust. He turned to her, his gaze intense. I know I'm asking a lot. But the truth is, I've spent years wrestling with my own mistakes. I wish I could take back the moments when I walked away. I thought distance would make it easier, but instead, it just made everything worse. I never wanted to hurt you. Sarah pulled in a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Then why now? Why not before? I've waited for you to say something because I was scared, Sarah. Scared of what I had lost and what I might lose again. And I didn't think I deserved a second chance. But seeing you today, it opened my eyes. She felt the tears prick her eyes. Old wounds surged to the surface, hurt wrapped in memories, longing intertwined with loss. It's complicated. I spent so long trying to move on from you. I'm not that same girl who would have taken you back without question. Maybe that's a good thing, he replied, taking a small step toward her. You're stronger now. You know your worth. And I want to earn your trust all over again, if you'll let me. Silence enveloped them, a protective bubble against the world they had stepped away from. Sarah's heart raced, caught in the push and pull of emotions. Was she ready for this? A chance? A risk? Daniel, I need time to figure this out, she finally said, her voice trembling but resolute. Take all the time you need, he said, his eyes softening. I'm not going anywhere. Somewhere deep inside her, a flicker of relief ignited. Maybe, just maybe, he meant it. The thought sent a shiver through her. Lost in thought, she looked back at the party beyond the glass doors. Emily danced with Josh, their laughter genuine and infectious. That sense of joy stirred something in Sarah. She wanted to feel that way again. She wanted to embrace the lightness life could offer while simultaneously facing the shadow of her past. Can I ask you something? She said suddenly, turning to Daniel. Of course, he replied, his expression open and inviting. What if we start from the beginning? What if we could rediscover each other in our own time? Hope soared between them, raw and fragile. I'd love that, Daniel said, a smile breaking through the uncertainty, yet, as Sarah looked into his eyes, another small fear bubbled up. What if this was destined to end like before? What if this hope turned into yet another heartache? As she stood on the cusp of possibility, the question lingered, echoing in her mind. Was she truly ready to step back into this life? The night was still young, and as they stood side by side, Sarah felt a rush of possibility rippling through her veins. There was no script for what was about to unfold, but perhaps that uncertainty was what made it beautiful. What would the night reveal as they walked that thin line between past and future? Would they find themselves forever changed, or would they slip back into familiar patterns? Only the stars seemed to know. As the music swelled from the party behind them, Sarah felt an ache in her chest. She didn't want to lose this moment, the raw honesty between them, the promise of new beginnings swirling in the air like fireflies. But how could she trust again? "Let us make a pact," Daniel said suddenly, breaking the fragile silence. "No matter what happens, we promise to be honest with each other. No games, no pretentious facades. Just truth." Sarah raised an eyebrow, surprised by his earnestness. "You think a pact will solve everything?" He chuckled softly, a glimmer of his old self breaking through the intensity. "Maybe not everything. But it's a start. I don't want to mislead you again. I want you to feel safe with me." Safe, the word settled in her mind. It felt foreign yet comforting. "Okay. But it's going to take more than just words. Actions matter, Daniel." "I agree," he said, stepping closer, his eyes locked onto hers. "And I'm willing to show you that." A breeze rustled the leaves nearby, almost whispering encouragement. Sarah took the opportunity to breathe. The enormity of what lay ahead loomed dangerously close, but there was also a flicker of excitement coursing through her at the thought of forging a new path together. Before she could say more, laughter erupted from inside the house, breaking through their concentration. The sound tugged at her heart. Memories of joyous moments and friends filled her with warmth. She glanced back through the glass doors to see Emily spinning in Josh's arms, her laughter ringing with pure joy. "Don't you miss that?" she asked, her eyes softening. "The feeling of just being alive and free?" Daniel followed her gaze, lost in the rapture of the moment. "I do. I miss feeling like there's nothing holding me back." Together, they watched the party unfold. Sarah felt the tension ease as they stood side by side, experiencing the light-hearted antics inside almost as if they were in it together. But the laughter soon faded for her. The thought of stepping away from the security of their current connection terrified her. "Do you think they're truly happy?" she asked, breaking the stillness. Daniel turned to her, his brow furrowed in consideration. "I think happiness is a choice. One that requires work. It's easy to smile, but staying genuine amidst challenges. That's the real test." A knot formed in her stomach as she contemplated his words. What if they weren't just starting from scratch? What if they were rebuilding something that had already been shattered? As if sensing her turmoil, Daniel reached for her hand. His touch was gentle, almost reverent. "We can take this one step at a time. If you're willing to try. Just promise me, when you feel that uncertainty creeping in, you'll talk to me. No hiding. No running." His words hit her like an unexpected wave, transformative and terrifying. Could she really be that open? Could she let someone else into those dark corners of her heart? I promise." The words were soft but filled with a surge of determination that a spark ignited in Daniel's eyes. "Then let us dive into the unknown together. But only when you're ready." "Ready," she repeated quietly, feeling the weight of the word. This was a leap of faith, a chance to allow hope to bloom in the spaces where fear once thrived. "Let us go join them," Daniel urged, looking back toward the party. "Just for a little while. What do you say?" Sarah hesitated, the throbbing uncertainty almost overwhelming. But perhaps being in that vibrant atmosphere could help her rediscover parts of herself that had faded during the years. And so she nodded, heart pounding, tethered to his grip as they stepped together into the laughter and light. But even as they moved toward the warmth of the gathering, a thought nagged at the back of her mind: what hidden truths might they uncover in the chaos of the night? What unexpected revelations awaited them amidst the revelry? As they stepped through the glass doors, the party enveloped them like a cozy blanket. The warmth swirled around Sarah, mingling with the sweet smell of cake and the enticing aroma of lingering barbecue. Colorful lights twinkled overhead, casting playful shadows, while energy-filled laughter hummed in each corner of the room. "See? Not so bad," Daniel said, his voice barely rising above the cheerful chaos. He squeezed her hand gently, and for a moment, the noise faded, leaving just the two of them, anchored in their shared space. Sarah let out a small laugh, her earlier tension loosening just a bit. "It's definitely lively. I missed this." They made their way through the crowd, weaving between friends and familiar faces. Josh spotted them first, his eyes lighting up. "You too. There you are. Come join us." He gestured toward a group gathered around the makeshift dance floor. Emily came up behind him, her smile infectious. "I was hoping you'd show up. You have to see this dance-off we've got going on." Sarah's heart fluttered. She wasn't sure if she was ready for a spotlight, but Daniel's excited nod gave her the nudge she needed. Together, they crossed the space, joining the embrace of friendship and joy. As the music pulsed through the room, friends took turns showcasing their moves, laughter echoing with each over-the-top performance. Josh executed a comically exaggerated spin, and Emily cheered, collapsing into giggles. "All right, who's next?" Josh called, glancing at Sarah and Daniel. "Come on," Daniel said, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Let us show them what we've got." Fear gripped her, but the warmth of the room, mixed with Daniel's enthusiasm, coaxed her forward. "Okay, but just remember, no judgment." They stepped onto the dance floor, a shaky excitement racing between them. Sarah let loose, swirling and laughing as Daniel matched her energy, his movement fluid and free. The music wrapped around them, pulling them deeper into the moment. In that heady swirl of color and sound, Sarah felt a significant change. It was as though she was shedding layers of hesitations, stepping into a version of herself she had almost forgotten. With each beat, her heart opened a little wider, inching away from the fears that had bound her for too long. "Do you feel that?" Daniel leaned in, breathless, his eyes gleaming. "The freedom?" she asked, smiling, realizing just how far they had come in such a short time. "Yes," he said, his voice laced with wonder. "That's what it's all about." But as they spun and twirled, a moment stood out, an unexpected happening that caught Sarah off guard. Kids dashed across the dance floor, laughter trailing behind them, pure and unrestrained. One tiny boy bumped into her, sending her stumbling slightly. Daniel caught her with a swift arm, pulling her back to her feet. "Whoa, there," he said, his laughter reverberating through her chest. But as she regained her balance, she noticed something in the distance. Across the room, a couple hugged tightly, whispering to each other, their connection palpable even from afar. Something within Sarah tightened. The happiness radiating from their embrace sparked a flicker of longing deep down, a reminder that while she was stepping forward, the past still lingered close. "What's wrong?" Daniel's voice broke through her reverie, concern evident in his gaze. She hesitated, torn between the joy of the moment and a shadow of old wounds. "Nothing," she finally said, but her smile faltered. "Sarah," he stepped closer, his brow furrowed, searching her face. "You can tell me." But as she opened her mouth, ready to share, a loud cheer erupted from the dance floor. Josh had just attempted a headstand and failed spectacularly. Laughter erupted, and in the chaos, everything shifted again. Sarah felt the weight of her hesitations bubble up again, battling against the release she had experienced moments before. "Shall we go help him?" she asked, hoping to deflect her inner turmoil. Daniel nodded, but she could see the flicker of concern still in his eyes. As they made their way to their friends, she couldn't shake the chill creeping in. Wasn't it time to confront what lay within? But could she truly be honest when doubts bubbled just beneath the surface? And as they began to help Josh, a voice in her heart asked, "What will you do when faced with your own truth?" The night wore on, soaking in the laughter, the warmth of belonging, and joy's gentle embrace. Amidst the bustling energy of the dance floor and the echoing melody of celebration, Sarah felt a shift within her, a gradual loosening of the chains she had carried for so long. Every twirl and every laugh felt like a step back into herself, back to the light she had almost forgotten. But it was the unexpected moment with Josh that flipped a switch. As he struggled to regain composure after his epic fall, his laughter still ringing in the air, Sarah found herself smiling genuinely. She caught Daniel's eye, and in that brief, shared glance, the warmth of camaraderie melted the remnants of her fear. It was a realization that maybe she could step forward while still looking back. It's all right to let go of the past, but it's time to embrace who you are too, echoed in her mind. With every passing moment, the rhythms of laughter and joy swept around them, solidifying the bond of friends as the evening unfolded brighter by the minute. In that realization lay a profound understanding. This was her time. No longer a secondary player in her own story. "Come on," Daniel said, nudging her playfully. "Let us join the others." With his encouragement, she felt the remnants of hesitation melt, and for the first time in a long while, she put aside her doubts and fears. Together, they formed a circle with their friends, arms flailing, feet tapping like a kid in carefree bliss. Josh's infectious energy spread, igniting laughter that rang out bright and clear. "Now that's more like it," Emily cheered, a twinkle of pride dancing in her eyes as she watched her sister, a sister who was no longer holding back. In this joyful chaos, Sarah could feel the threads of connection weaving deeper. They weren't just laughter-filled moments, they were memories being built, propelled by love and the shared journey of growth. Just as her heart began to soar, a familiar tug wrenched at her thoughts. Daniel's presence beside her was both exhilaration and uncertainty. In the whirlwind of revelry, she sought a moment to reflect on the shift in their relationship. They had forged a pact under the stars, but now? How could she ensure they wouldn't slip back into uncertainty? "Hey, Daniel," she called, pulling him a few steps aside without breaking the flow of the celebration. He turned, his expression a blend of concern and eagerness. "I know we're diving headfirst into this," but she hesitated, searching for the right words. "How do we ensure we're not just reliving old patterns?" He took a deep breath, the light in his eyes revealing a deep sincerity. "Sarah, each moment can be a new discovery. It's about communicating and growing together. As long as we keep dialogue open, we'll confront the past rather than run from it." She absorbed his words, heart swelling with hope. "I want that. I want to embrace what's ahead, but with honesty. Then let us do it together." "It's us, not just you or me," he replied, his reassurance wrapping around her like a warm hug. They returned to the circle filling with dance moves and laughter, but now it felt different. It felt alive not just with joyful noise, but with promise. Just then, the DJ shifted the rhythm into something softer, and couples began to sway, drawing Sarah and Daniel into a new kind of intimacy. She melted against him, surrendering to the embrace of a slow dance. "Thank you for staying," he whispered against her ear, warmth flooding her heart. It struck her how much this moment was forged in trust, in a new beginning. She was ready to step boldly into this future, with all its potential joys and challenges. As they held each other, tuning out the buzzing world, she locked her gaze on his. "You really mean that, don't you?" she asked, the question hovering in the air. "I do, Sarah. I want to explore what our stories can become together. Not just the remnants of what once was," he replied, his sincerity reflected back in her own heart. She felt lighter, unburdened. Tears brimmed at the edges of joy. It wasn't just about forgiving the past, it was about building something meaningful from it, an alliance forged in vulnerability and understanding. At that moment, Emily caught her eye again, the laughter just beyond contagious. "What are you two doing?" she called out, laughter dancing in her voice, inviting them back to the celebration. With a radiant smile, Sarah knew this day was no longer marked by loss or shadows. By the end of the evening, it was illuminated by the vibrant love surrounding her family and friends ready for whatever roads lay ahead. As the song drew to a close, she felt wild and free. It was time to reclaim the narrative, to rediscover who she was without the burdens of the past. There was warmth around her, she was part of something bigger. Sarah stretched her arms wide, spinning back into the party, laughter spilling from her lips, welcoming the love that poured forth from those around her. Together. Sarah burst out, her voice carrying over the bridge of fray. She caught Daniel's gaze, their shared experiences now woven tighter than a bond of blood. The world glimmered brighter as they danced into this new beginning. The wedding, a celebration not just of love, but of family and resilience. The echoes of the past might always linger, but with each step into the light, Sarah vowed to step forward, heart wide open, ready to embrace both what lay ahead and the unexpected gifts of a freshly penned chapter, and as the clock turned, that promise forged the beginning of new stories, ones filled with laughter, love, and a promise of tomorrow. Now is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this beautiful ending. Did it move you? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share, because true fans understand the importance of supporting the story.